since I grew up in Michigan, I have some friends that were about this tall, like the little guys that were here earlier, that would come down to Ohio State Picture Day and take pictures with us, and they just were all about Ohio State football. And as they got older, they were pretty decent players, and they wanted to play at Ohio State. But they weren't necessarily going to make the cut to play in the Big Ten Conference, okay? And it was just a reality. But they were great kids, good students, good kids. So I asked Coach Fickle, who was now coaching at the time at Ohio State, I said, Coach, is there any way that, you know, this kid can walk on? Any way, because you get a couple spots. He said, you know what, to be honest with you, he probably could, but it's going to be expensive because he's not a state kid. And I know the family, because Luke and I were roommates at Ohio State, so he knew the family, and there was a pastor's kid. And it's not like they had a ton of money to be sending this kid out of state to go to school at Ohio State just so he could walk on the football team. That didn't make any sense. So he said, but I'll tell you what I'll do. And I know this goes against every fiber of my being, but I'll call the guys up in Michigan and see if we can get him to walk on there. So I said, that would be great. Even though we don't like Michigan, it would be great for him to be a part of the team, be a student athlete, and get a degree. You know. So anyways, they call, he ends up getting him in, walks on. The next year is when Rich Rodriguez comes in, okay? So Boyd Carr's fired, Rich Rodriguez comes in, little Jordan Riley is this boy's name. He's now a sophomore. Rich Rod comes in, brings all the walk-ons in and says, okay, I was a walk-on. Every year I'm going to get 3 scholarships for walk-ons. Go. Good luck. That's your challenge. My little buddy wins the scholarship. Pretty neat, huh? Even though it was Michigan, we were kind of pumped for him. And so when Nolan was born, so he's like 8 weeks old, my sister-in-law was getting married. And she graduated from Ohio State Med School and was doing her residency up in Ann Arbor. And she was getting married to a gentleman who was from up in that way, so they were having their wedding up there. So we got our little 8-month-old, we drive up to Ann Arbor for this wedding, and I'm thinking, you know, it's fall, football's going on right now, I'm going to call Jordan, bring little Nolan over there just to see him, because he used to always come to my practices when he was a little guy, right? And I know that it's Michigan, but it's okay, it's kind of family. So I bring him over to the stadium, or not stadium, their workout facility, the Schembeckler Hall, I think they call it. So I bring him there, and we come walking in, and Jordan's a really great kid, so he comes out and he's like, hey, Ryan, let me see him. So he goes to hold him, and we're in the locker room, and there's like, this big block M, similar to what Ohio State would have a big block M. And he's holding little Nolan in his hands, and he's like, that's great. I go, okay, let me get a picture, because, you know, obviously. So I get a picture, and as I'm getting a picture, Jordan's like, I think he's doing something. So I go over and I'm like, what? He had blown out. Anybody that's got a kid knows what I'm talking about? He had blown out. And Jordan was about to go out to practice. He's got stuff all over him. And so I had to immediately drop down in the middle of the Michigan locker room to change my little guy's diaper. I told Jordan, you know what? Take a picture. I gave him my camera to take a picture of this. Because this is exactly how I picture this day in and out, you know? Having my little brother come over and take a big dump in the Michigan locker room. So that's what happened. True story. So, that's an honest to God's true story.